I wanted to talk to you about tax competitiveness has been on my mind. And I'm wondering if you have any information on where Canada stands. You know, like when major corporations look at where they're going to open their factories, do business, they look at countries in a way like a product. And one of the things they'll look at is how expensive is it going to be for our corporation, for our executives, for our employees? How much are they going to have to pay to live in a country like Canada? Where do we compare in the world to other countries on that front?
Unfortunately, among our peer nations, not good. So I have the results from the 2021 International Tax Competitive Index in front of me, and Canada ranked 20th out of 37 OECD countries on tax competitiveness, which is 2 spots worse than Canada's 2020 rank, and also puts us in the bottom half of the pack among our peers. Canada ranked 23rd on business tax competitiveness. Canada ranked 27th on individual tax competitiveness, and Canada ranked 24th on property tax competitiveness. Now, the report notes, quote, some strengths of the Canadian tax system, which includes the fact that Canada, quote, does not levy wealth, estate, or inheritance taxes.
And just on the issue of interest rates, you know, one of the things that I think it's important for us to understand is that the government racked up more debt in the last 7 years than all of the history of our country since Confederation. And they did it, you know, essentially bragging about it, saying, well, it would be irresponsible not to borrow when interest rates are so low. But now the chickens are coming home to roost, aren't they? The interest rates are going up. Government's going to have to refinance each tranche of debt as it becomes due. What impact do you think that's going to have on our debt servicing costs? And do you think it might force the government to make some drastic decisions around further tax increases in order to continue to service our debt?
Well, interest charges next year, according to the PBO, are going to be about $42 billion, right? That's $42 billion that can't improve health care and can't stay in Canadians' pockets through lower taxes because that money's going to the bond fund managers on Bay Street. But, I mean, look, the Bank of Canada has one job, and it failed to do its one job. If you've been to a grocery store or a gas station in the last year, you know that. And even the Bank of Canada has admitted that they did not hit their inflation target. And even the Bank of Canada has admitted that they should be held accountable. Well, isn't it a funny way to hold your organization accountable than to turn around and hand out $45 million in bonuses and pay raises in 2020 and 2021?
Mr. Chair, for one last quick one, I want to ask you about the pay-as-you-go law, because I was fascinated last week to hear the Minister of Finance all of a sudden see the light and listen to what our leader has been saying now for months and months and months and months, that Canada should bring in a pay-as-you-go law. I'm wondering, from your perspective at the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, how can we trust the arsonist to put out the fire when they make a promise like this?
Well, look, it's not sustainable to spend more money on everything forever. That's not a good way to try to run the finances of a nation. But look, I mean, in our budget, we're showing that you could actually balance the books with modest spending restraint. Just bring back program spending back to the pre-pandemic and all-time high levels of 2018-19, even adjusted upward for inflation and population growth. So the government could balance the budget. It could find room to provide much-needed tax relief, and really it only takes modest spending restraint.